Right, man. I don't be talking this goddamn much. Hold on. I usually take a little break. But we here though. Let's get into it. To be sold on board the ship Bryant Island on Tuesday. Okay. The 6th of May, next at the Alfberry Ferry, a choice cargo of about 250 fine, healthy Negroes. You understand what I'm saying? Just arrived from the Wren Yard in Ricecroft, and the oatmoth cur was already been taken, and shall be continued to keep them from their leaf danger. I don't know. This shit is using weird words of being infected with the smallpox. No boat having been on board, and all other communications with the people of Charlestown prevented. All right. You can get a full or half of one above. One of them is a full Negro, one of them is a half Negro. And none of them got smallpox. So they pushing them around like, look, we got strong, healthy, fine ass niggas. And they ain't got no chicken pox. But see, they were trying to advertise these to the women of England. Because by this time, the monarch system in England had turned to women. And they were having horrible trouble with fertility rates. So they were inquiring strong, healthy bull Negroes from the colonies in America after going to war with some of these nations that were taking them in POW and shipping them out. And sometimes a strong, healthy Negro that was fine as hell, they say, could fetch work upwards to $150,000. They were almost the same price as they valued a mulatto slave in Louisiana at almost the same price. I'm just giving y'all game. When we say slave, we talking about POW. We talking about a prisoner of war, not someone who was whipped in the ass and brought from Africa. If you believe you was whipped in the ass and brought from Africa, excuse me, throw that away, family. England was in America first. England was definitely in America first. As a matter of fact, Virginia was what they first called England. The area from Virginia all the way down to northern North Carolina was considered British Isles or British America. England. You see what I'm saying? And the place that we call England today wasn't called England at the time. It was called Albion. It was called Albion. And that was for the big Albion Mountains and the cliffs of white dozier that you can see in the back hills of England today. Okay. So let's continue. Now look, this is from my boy Wathamanu book, Unexpected Faces. I know my boy Truthful got this book because he beat somebody up in a debate with this. And he told he barbecued him. Now, if he would have focused in on this a little more, he would have definitely did some damage. Even more damage, let me just say. Even more damage. Now look at these sculptures. One found in Mexico around 400 BCE, one found in Mexico around 300 ADE, and one found in Mexico at 1000 BC. So all three of these images is found in Mexico at different time frames. From the first one to the last one is roughly around 1,000 years in between. Roughly around 1,000 years in between. So even from 1,000 years ago, And all the way up to the present day, you still have Negroes. So if we take that time today, because we still got Negroes in them areas today in Mexico. So 1000 BC is 3000 years ago from today's day. So even 3000 years from the first sculpture, we still have Negroes in that area today. No, Albion means white though, but it wasn't for white people. Uh Salamu Amor Bay. Albion was for the cliffs of White Dozier, the mountain ranges. They call those the Albion Mountains, which is why they call that area Albion. And they often refer to the people as what they refer to the land as, often as Algon, or they refer to them as the language. They either refer to them as the land or the language when they don't really know who the fuck they are. So the term Albion became inclusive with the people that lived in that particular region at the time. So we'll talk about that. We know that nobody originates in England. England ain't a place where people originate from, but that's a whole nother topic. Now listen, what Thamanu said this, the startling fact is that in all parts of Mexico, archaeological pieces represent Negro or Negroid people have been found, especially in archaic or pre-classic sites. Professor Wathamanu states, so he said the farther you go back, the darker the roots. And that's obvious because we know obviously as time go on, we have migration happening and taking place. We have migrations and other things taking place. Now, we're not going to get into the doctrine of discovery, but maybe we can get into some conclusive definitions of dark-skinned people being referred to in America. So let's go to the historical quotes from Oxford Dictionary. Okay. A dark-skinned person of any origin. Now we're talking about the word nigger. A dark-skinned person from any origin. In early U.S. use, usually within reference to American Indians. So when the American history, when they started referring to niggers in American history, it was often referring to American Indians, according to the historical quotes from Oxford Dictionary. Are y'all with me, family? I don't think y'all in here cooking with me, man. Y'all fucking with me. Y'all drop a fire emoji in the chat. I feel like I'm cooking right now. I thought y'all like information, but I don't know. I'll be sitting back listening in the community sometimes. I'll be like, damn, I don't be seeing no information on nobody's channel. And today it was just like, damn, I kind of even got caught up in it because I feel like people don't even appreciate it. But I know there's always new people coming into this information, and I always have a job to do when it comes to this primary, accurate information about indigenous peoples in America being classified from Indians to Negro to color and now African Americans. Okay. Appreciate the fire emojis and the love, family. Let's continue. Now, here goes some quotes. So this is a quote from 1843, T.C. Halliburton. All right. Heathen engine niggers. Now, this is a quote. Heathen engine niggers. Here go another quote from 1857, L.D. DeFern. This relationship with Polynesian niggers, the native genealogists would probably scout with indignation. Okay, here go another quote from 1869, P.A. Taylor, Colony of Queensland. What can you supply me with 100 niggers from Kansas? That's a quote in 1869. In 1899, by J.M. Murrell, we came here in the Philippines to lick the nigger. Okay. A quote from 1919, P.B. Kane, Captain Scraggs, page 119. On the island of Orinoco, right under the Hukatunga volcano, there was something striking. A big buck native niggers there that would fetch 300 a head. They called him a big buck native nigger. Damn. And in 1934, G.B. Shaw's on Rockshaw on page 70, Pandroneth, you are only a silly nigger pretending to be an English gentleman. That sounds like a motherfucking King Cass. They must have knew King Cass' great-great-granddaddy in 1934. All right. Let's go. In 1992, in Morris's Brothel Boy, that's on page 9, he's trying to suck up to Veraswama. For some reason, he must know we can't let niggers in. And that was a direct quote. Now we're going to go to another Oxford Dictionary quote, and this is going to go through the understanding from scholar Randall Kennedy's nigger in America definition. They're going to break down. So look, I just want to use the often derogatory term applied to Indians. It often applied to Indians, the N word. Okay. Now, when you go right here to this Merriam-Webster definition and dictionary, look, nigger, N, or noun and adjective. Pronounce nigger or Niger, now non-stand and regional. Nagor, Nagri, Niger, Caribbean. Frequently in current use. Origin, probably a variant or alteration of another lexical item or model on a Latin lexical item. Probably an alteration of nigger, a classical Latin nigger. Okay, a dark-skinned person of any origin in early U.S. use, referring to the American Indians. So when you say American Indians, you're saying nigger. I mean, if you want to be offensive. You see what I'm saying? See, we done took the word that they try to refer to us in derogatory terms and speak on our lineage. We done turned it to a word of endearment. This is how we do reverse psychology. We've been doing it from the beginning, family. So we're gonna continue to go down. We just now getting started, y'all. Hit that like button. We just getting started. American now. So we're gonna read this. Look, American, that's the word, that's who we are as a people. Before you become an Indian, you are American first. That's why it's American Indian. Now let's get into what American Indian is. American is. In the 1570s, originally one of the Aboriginal peoples discovered in the Western Hemisphere by Europeans. From modern Latin, Americanus, from America. The original sense is now Native Americans. The sense of a residence of North America. So now when we say Native American, that just means you're a resident in North America. It doesn't mean you're an actual American. It's telling you right here in the definition. So when you say that you're Native American, you're just saying, "Oh, I live in America." That's just what you're saying. That it's the same thing. Instead of saying I'm living in America, I'm Native American. That means I'm just here. I'm not live here. I'm a resident here. Okay, and that was originally. Now listen, when they say residents of North America, that was of European or original British descent from 1765. So the term Native American were first being used by white people before the little Asians. I just want that to be clear, because a lot of these Asians went around, we're Native American. The white people classified you as Native American after you was Chinos. But before you was classified, they was already taking that status. This is how you get the Native American political party, the Know Nothing Party. I'm not going to go too deep in on that because that's a side build from where I'm going with this. But I need y'all to understand where I'm at. I need y'all to understand where I'm at. And I need y'all to smack that like button and hit that cash app if y'all liking the bill. Let's continue. We're going to go to the Indian nullifications of the unconstitutional laws of Massachusetts, written by William Apes. Written by William Apes. Ooh. My bad, y'all. My mouth is getting dry. Let me drink some of this water. All right. Y'all turn me up. Now, listen, it's talking about the Indians. Now, listen, it said Mr. Marstenstein thought it might be from this book, William Apes, that the Indian notifications of Boston in 1835 on page 165, where he was referring to the term colored persons, blacks, and Indians are synonymous. So I don't want to hear nobody arguing. All these are mislabels and stuff. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that they all referring to the actual American. This is under color codes and Negro Acts and other things of this nature. Walter Plecker Racial Integrity Act came later than a lot of these other off-the-book laws that were being actually diametrically opposed to our people. And this is written about in various different documents. And in 1763, the Mashpee was incorporated as a district in a word as it follows. So the term colored persons, blacks, and Indians are all synonymous with the Mashpee Indians, family. They're not teaching y'all that. They're not teaching y'all that. So we about to get into some more references. We about to get into some more. References. So I just want people to understand, for those that keep saying that no, there was no indigenous black people in America, or there was no indigenous Indians that were classified as colored Negro or blacks. None of y'all peoples was. None of them people was. That's a damn lie. I don't know why Pan-Africans come over here and lie to our damn face like that when we literally pulling up the records. We're literally showing you the records right now in real time. I'll have majority of so-called FBA, so-called Black Americans, are in fact Aboriginal Indigenous Americans, aka the American Indian, aka the only American. Now let's read this source right here, family. Okay. Now look, in William Penn's observation made after visiting the interior of Pennsylvania. Now, William Penn is one of the first colonists to come to America. He came to the state of Pennsylvania, the area that we would probably call Philadelphia today, ran across one of the Lady Lenape chiefs, and his name was King Powhatan. And this is what he referred to him as an eyewitness account, and he wrote this in his logs. His logs was put together in a conglomerate of sources and made into a book, and that book was written by Samuel Janey, and it's called The Life of William Penn. And this is in his 6th edition in 1882. This is what he states: the natives I shall consider in their person, language, manners, and religions, and government with my sense of the original. This is his opinion. He said, man, these people with their language, with their personality, with their manners, with their religion, man, these people are the real deal. They are the original. Now listen, he said, for the persons, they are generally tall, straight, well built, of singular proportions, and tread strong, with a clever and mostly walk with a lofty chin, and of the complexion, black, and of the complexion, black, but the design as the gypsies in England. This is what my brother Moore, meticulous, or Marua Moore was talking about in the chat. He was talking about how in England, them people, the place that we call England was an American. The place that we was calling England now was Albion, but those people that we was calling Albion actually weren't white people. They were the gypsies, and I can show you images of them. So now we're getting into it. Now listen, he said they greased themselves with bear fat, clarified, and using no defiance against the sun. Rather, their skin must needs to be swarthy. Swarthy. All right. Their eye is little and black, but not unlike the Jew. Now, the term swarthy is an English term, right, or anglicized word that means dark. Now, the Polish people or the people or Norwegian got a word called nigger. They also use the word nigger to refer to as dark skin. And so when you hear a name like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so Schwartz mean dark, nigger mean dark. That means he come from dark people. And obviously with years and generational mixing, he's far removed from that lineage. Swarthy is synonymous with black and nigger. You understand me? Schwarzenegger. I'm just giving you some game. All right. So let's move down. This is an image of King Tammany standing on the back of a turtle with an eagle on his shoulder. This is in downtown Philadelphia. I got pictures with this. I've been seeing this. Everybody from Philadelphia have seen this down there on Market Street. All right. Now, here go a city of New York from the archival survey showing the Negro burial site. Now, look, this is Negro burial site, Negro burial grounds, Negro burial grounds. Now, what I'm saying is that this is in Manhattan. Lenny Lenape and King Tammany occupied all of that area. He occupied Manhattan. The Lenny Lenape nations, they was all in New Jersey. They was in Philadelphia. They was in New York. And they even went as far south as Delaware, you know, from the original nations, and then eventually brushed out and went to a lot of other places. I need y'all to keep that in mind. This is in New York City, right there in Seneca Village in Harlem. They saying that this is a Negro burial site, and it's ancient. It goes back to a particular time period. But I need y'all to keep that in mind, right? Because I'm going to show you an Indian Bureau of Affairs map, who also show you Manhattan, and look at these star forts. This is long before they found the Indian burial, a Negro burial ground. These star forts in this city was there, already built up by King Tammany. When William Penn came, he came into a marvelous city. Now look, here go a Library of Congress map showing downtown Lower Manhattan. This is right here where the Indian burial site is right now today. This is smack dead in the middle of Lenny Lenape, Lower Manhattan territory. So when we go up to the map right here, and it says Negro burial grounds, but it's smack dead in the middle of the Aboriginal indigenous land, according to the Indian Bureau of Affairs. Come on, man. which is furthermore proof that they're misaligned and reclassified the Indian burial sites or Aboriginal burial sites into Negro burial sites. And according to W.E.B. Du Bois, now W.E.B. Du Bois, now I'm freestyling right here. W.E.B. Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois, Zora Hill Hutchinson, Melville Herkovich, and Franz Boas orchestrated. Damn, what's called orchestrated these missions to go out there to the Niagara Falls. Now, look, watch this. I'm about to type in Franz Boas Negro burial site, New York. Watch this. Watch what you. I'm about to show y'all some crazy shit. I'm freestyling right now, but I know it's some crazy shit because I looked it up some years ago. It was a whole program Franz Boas did. Now we know Franz Boas is the father of anthropology. We know they call him the grandfather of anthropology. Now look, half a man, the status of the Negro. He talks about the Indian burial ground in New York. It's a whole thing called the Niagara Falls movement. The Niagara Falls movement, first located in Seneca Village, first start looking up the Indian burial site. But we know Franz Boas was pushing the agenda from the beginning. That's when you first get the anthropological studies at Columbia University. There was no anthropology, no study of anthropology before Franz Boas now. And you got to realize the Columbia University was also the same school that later on, about 50 years later, the CIA ended up being funded by. The CIA started funding certain programs at Columbia University with the African kind of schools and the African study schools. The African study schools was never in effect before 1850s, but it was still being studied under the anthropological studies, which lets me know that all of it was a whole categorization of psyops. So we got Indian territory, Negro burial ground, smack dead in the middle. Pay attention. Now look, we about to get into some shit. I need y'all to smack that like button and support the channel, man. I need y'all to smack that like button and support the channel, man. Shout out to my sister Chicken Harmony Roots for supporting the channel. Shout out to my sister Chicken Harmony Roots for supporting the channel. Also, shout out to True Food for supporting the channel too. Shout out to True Food. Did I already shout True Food out earlier? I felt like I shouted out True Food earlier, but maybe I did. I felt like I did, but yeah, shout out to everybody that's supporting the channel. Make sure y'all keep them things coming in, keep supporting the channel, keep smacking that like button, and keep sharing the live stream. All right. Now listen, I want to get to the chat because I did say if anybody needs some clarity or understanding or got a question or need me to run something back, I'll go through the chat and ask. So I'm gonna let y'all take this opportunity to ask any questions, or let me see if y'all got any questions, or if I need to run something back for y'all to document as a source for y'all own personal use. Just let me know right quick. All right. Shout out to the chat, man. Hey, I ain't even gonna lie, y'all rocking out in here. Y'all in here listening, and I'm in here dropping some shit. I got plenty more where this come from. Shout out to y'all though. I got plenty more where this come from. Oh, y'all ain't seen nothing yet, man. This just the basic bag. I ain't even get into some of the official legal documents yet. We about to get in. I showed one briefly. We about to get into another one. All right. Master of Self, man. How about you come up here and build with me, bro? Come on, champ. Come up here and build with the God. Come rock up with me. Come on, let's go. I need you to start your channel. We want to support you and go to your channel and listen to how you put it together. We want to listen to all the indigenous brothers coming up, the young brothers that got the youth and the energy behind them. We in full support of y'all. So if you want to come shine right now, just let me know. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out. Somebody said, are we the real English? That's a complex question. Uh mm, Depends on where you from though. Depends on where you from in this over here. But you know what I mean? It depends on where you from, bro. It's just like it's the original England is over here, the original France is over here, the original everything is over here. I just told you the first colonists that came over here on some peace and friendship shit came over here with Chief Tammany. You see what I'm saying? And William Penn. You got to understand that relationship. He was the first person to come over here to get granted citizen and governmentship. So let's get into this historical meeting. Hold on. Let me show y'all what's going on since y'all don't know. Let me go and show y'all some stuff. I'm about to break this down to y'all right quick. Hold on. It's just some sidewalk. I'm freestyling now. Okay. Bear with me. Chief Tammany. Now look. Chief Tammany and William Penn historical meeting and agreement were pivotal in the shaping of early history in Pennsylvania. Tammany's openness and negotiation on his willingness to sign a peace treaty with William Penn were instrumental in establishing the peaceful coexistence between the Lenni Lenape Nation and the English colonists. This agreement, known as the Treaty of Amity, was significant steps towards the eventual integration of Native Americans into the colonial society. Tammany's legacies continue to be honored in Philadelphia, where a statue stands as a symbol of peace today. Now, this is key. Now, I need y'all to understand that this part is very, very key, family. All right, I'm gonna show y'all why. Because in this, we're talking. Remember what we read in Samuel Janus Morrison's work, right? Samuel Janus Morrison said that he came into the language. They already had a government. They already had manners. This was already a civilized group of people. Hold on. Let me type this in. Hold on. Let me show y'all this right quick. Because in downtown Philadelphia, not too far from where William Penn statue is, right by the art museum and shit, there's some significant shit that's taking place down there. Now, what you find, hold on, let me go to the image. Now, what you find leading up to the first White House in America is King Tammany. He was the president of one of them nations. There was two different presidencies going on, the South and the North. They became unified at a whole different time. So now look, when you go to this particular, this is right down the street from King Tammany's statue. What you're looking at is the original White House. This is the first White House. This is where freedom really became a real thing. This is why they got the Liberty Bell, because this is where the first place that freedom reigned for any other slave and Slav that was enslaved around the world. Now, you see all these nations flagged on the right and on the left. This is because every one of these nations came to Philadelphia, to this court, and was granted privilege to start a country, what they ultimately called a charter. This is how you get King Frederick law and rule of charter into the area that we call Conshohocken. The area later on became known as what? Come on, y'all, help me out. Y'all supposed to know this. So every one of these nations' flag that you see, shout out to Chief X Ali. Shout out to Chief X Ali in the chat. Appreciate you for coming through. I don't know if this is Dr. Ali Muhammad, but I don't think it is. But like your name though. But yeah, on the left and on the right, each one of these nations had to come to America to establish government. So we just told you that they had original government here. When we was just reading Samuel Janey's work, which I'm about to go back to and show you, because we just read in Philadelphia, which I just showed you on the screen. When you go back up and you read right here, hold on. And when you read right here from William Penn's observations, this is William Penn's observations. He came here and said that the person, language, manners, religion, and government of his sense is of the original. They got the original government. So they came here and ordained and got ordained government status here. See, they not telling y'all that, but I'm getting into a whole nother bag that I got a whole nother bill for. This shit get deeper than what y'all even could really even think about. This shit get deeper than what y'all can even really think about. Shout out to the Midwest, man. Shout out to the Midwest, Chief X Ali. Hey, everybody that's rocking out, man, make sure y'all share the live stream. If you're new to this channel, hey, nice to meet y'all. It's Aboriginal Power, man, the one and only, man. The hood scientists, man. We're here to bring that heat, man. The first Aboriginal archaeologists. We're here to bring that heat. So now look, this is a quote from Carter G. Woodson. Now look, he got a book called Free Negro Heads of House. Free Negro Heads of Families in U.S. in 1830. This is a unique book. Go check it out. It is a fire book. And if y'all stick around to the end of the live stream, who knows? I might even drop the actual PDF in the chat so y'all can have this for your own personal source and reference logs. All right. All right. So now look, it says, thus the native families of Robeson County, North Carolina, and all Virginia counties are always classified as colored persons, as well as North Carolina, New York, along with the general Indian population in county after county. They're all classified as coloreds. They're all classified as colors. Now let's get into the next source that we're going to get into, because if y'all don't know, we talked about amity. We talked about amity just a second ago. Hold on. Let me go back to that source. Where was we talking about amity at? Hold on. Hold on. We just brought up amity within the conversation not too long ago. What was that in? That was in the... Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. We just seen amity in the source that we brought up earlier. Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to think. Oh, that was in the written records from that was in the written records from King Francis. I can't even think, man. Dang. But I did see that earlier. Hold on. My bad. I didn't mean to throw y'all off, but we got more sources coming up, though. Just bear with me. Just bear with me, family. We're going to get into the actual records. So, all right, let me get this off the screen. Boom. So we're going to go to the actual library of document public records and vital statistics of Charleston County Public Library, right? And what we're looking at is free Indians and amity with the state, a legal legacy. Now look, the phrase free Indians and amity with a state arose during the early years of the Carolina colonial to describe peaceful indigenous people who possess certain inalienable civil rights, legal measures enacted during the early 18th century to protect those rights and revived during the 19th century by free persons or mixed African descent who embraced their Indian ancestry. See, they try to put this African descent shit on there. See, when you get into the actual original records, now let me see what this say.
And trade with white colonists in a state of amity. On the other hand, those who used violence to resist the process of colonization, including the Kuso and Westo, were treated as hostile enemies to be banished or enslaved. Indian slavery emerged in the 1670s as a small component of the burgeoning trade between Carolina colonists and Native Americans, generally involving the enemies of Indians in amity with the provincial government, who were captured on the outskirts of the English colony and delivered to white settlers for sale. Commerce between colonists and Native Americans.
Yeah, it's just reading this whole paragraph out for us. But listen, often a lot of these Indians got misclassified, and a lot of these people were in fact not African at all. The rapid increase of the slave trade in Charleston, so they're trying to bring in the Negro Act, which I don't know how that would affect any of these other indigenous peoples. You see what I'm saying? Now let's get into another particular legal document. I know y'all like the legal documents. So look, here go another one. Now look, South Carolina passes Negro Act of 1740, codifying white supremacy. Now look, let's get into it. On May 10th, 1740, South Carolina General Assembly enacted a bill for the better ordering and government of Negroes and other slaves in its province, also known as the Negro Act. The law prohibited enslaved African people from growing their own food, learning to read, moving freely, assembling in groups, and earning money. So that's what they did. But it also invoked it and changed the laws of Black indigenous peoples, stripping away their nationality, which gets into what we call the Racial Integrity Act. So that's when you get into a lot of these Carolina Indians and a lot of these Virginia Indians. Yeah, it's not law, but they're acts. All right. Now look, the Lumbee tribe. Now look, we just read the quote from Carter G. Woodson, and he talked about Robeson County, North Carolina, and he said all of the head of household were reclassified into Negro. All the Indians that were head of household were reclassified as Negroes. Now, look, the Lumbee tribe located in Robeson County, North Carolina, was recognized by the state of North Carolina as American Indians in 1884. And in 1956, Congress recognized them as American Indians, but they did not receive full benefits of their federal recognition. Shout out to my sister in the chat, Chickahominy, because the Chickahominy Indian tribe of the East Division of the Upper Montapony tribe and the Wampanoag tribe and the Monacan tribe Indian Nation. All right. And these other Indians are all located in Virginia. They received recognition in the state of Virginia in 1983. There are currently no federal recognized tribes in Virginia because all of them were Negro. Federal recognition is usually handled by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. However, the process is difficult. One of the Bureau's criteria is recognition is the tribes to prove that they've been recognized as a group or community of American Indians for a century, which is very hard for most tribes because states hadn't always classified them as American Indians. For instance, members of the Virginia tribes were classified as colors in 1920, which would have cut off the 100-year mark, helping them reach it in the year 2020 today. So this is a very difficult thing. So misclassification, reclassification has been a legal tool to remove the indigenous heritage and benefits and resources from the indigenous peoples. Because the Lumbee tribe was partially recognized in 1956, full recognition must come from Congress. All right. Now look, the Chickahominy tribe in the eastern Wampanoag are not federally recognized, but they're trying. But yeah, man, so it's showing you how these people were indigenous and how they tried to reclassify all these people. And so this happened from 1700s leading all the way up to the 1960s, getting into your Walter Plecker Racial Integrity Act. So for those that's not familiar with the Racial Integrity Act, let's pull that up right here on the screen. And we're going to get into this Walter Plecker Racial Integrity Act right quick. Make sure y'all hit that like button, thumb up the video. This is the hillbilly who try to destroy our ancestors' nationality. I want y'all to take a good look at this hillbilly. Y'all supposed to be hitting that like button and dropping fire emojis. Y'all supposed to be like, damn, about going in. 2 hours in, like nothing but heat. Y'all bogus as hell. But shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to all my indigenous brothers and sisters that's in here. I really do appreciate y'all. The ones that really do enjoy this type of information. Salute to y'all, man. Big respect. Salute. Yeah, I want y'all to just get a good look at the guy who changed y'all in the Virginia area and did all that. Yeah, this guy had Marcus Garvey on payroll. When Marcus Garvey bought a ship that went bankrupt and then he was still selling shares on the stock market too, and then eventually caught and charged in federal court with fraud, he went to jail. You know who bonded him out? Take a wild guess, family. Walter Plecker bonded him out. Shout out to the brother Derek for supporting the channel. Shout out to the brother Derek. We do appreciate that. Shout out to the big brother Derek for supporting the channel, man. Make sure y'all show some love. Keep them coming in, man. Make sure y'all keep supporting the channel, man, for sure. Appreciate the Cash App donation. Look at him. Now look, let's go to what he did. Now, Walter Ashby Plecker, 1861, died in 1947. Walter Ashby Plecker was a physician in the first state register of vital statistics. This motherfucker was the nigga that was supposed to be documenting who we are according to the local vital statistic records. He literally eradicated and erased and destroyed indigenous nations' records and heritage, all because he had a prejudice perspective against them. He wanted Negroes to leave and go to Africa. This is how Marcus Garvey really started getting funded, because he started pushing Negroes to go back to Africa because he was the damn tether that was aligning himself with the damn white man from the giddy up. I'm not going to go into that because that goes into Pan-African was a psyops and then later on funded by the CIA bill. That's a whole nother bill, family. Walter Plecker bonded out freaking Marcus Garvey after his fraud case. I need that to be, y'all can verify that. This is verified. This is on official bond signatures. I got them somewhere in my files. I didn't really have them ready to pull up. I didn't think I was going to get into that conversation, but that's a whole nother PowerPoint. Which I have a PowerPoint put together for this. Walter Ashby Plecker. Somebody said in the chat. Walter Plecker was a physician in Virginia, and like I said, he was a state register of vital statistics, a position he served from 1912 to 1946. So for 34 years, he destroyed people's records. For 35 years, he started destroying people's records. Now listen, the promoter of eugenics and discredit movements aimed at significantly proving white racial superiority and thereby justifying marginalizing of non-white people, employing Virginia's Act to Preserve Racial Integrity. All right. In 1924, Plecker effectively separated Virginia citizens into two simplified racial categories, which removed all nations' lineage and heritage into white and to color. So you no longer could be an Indian, you no longer be a Wampanoag, you no longer be a Chickahominy, you no longer be a Cherokee, you no longer be whatever the hell your nation is. You can only be a white or a color. The law, which remained in effect until 1967, which was overturned by the United States Supreme Court of the case of Loving versus Virginia, required that the racial description of every person be recorded at birth while criminalizing marriages between whites and non-whites. Plecker's policies used deceptive scientific evidence. Look, deceptive scientific evidence to deem blacks lesser class of human beings. But now listen, but they also targeted poor whites for anyone he or other eugenics considered feeble-minded. So the degenerate hillbillies and shit. That's why you see hillbillies be a little more cooler and laid back with niggas in America. They'll be a little more laid back with niggas in America. They'll be like, damn, brother, we're just alike. We're just alike, brother. No, they just put belt to ass and y'all couldn't get right. You understand me? Now look, asserting the Virginia Indians were in fact mixed blood Negroes. Plecker also pressured state agencies into reclassifying Indians into color. Policies legally was affected to erase Indian as identity and has made difficult for Virginia Indians to gain federal recognition. He did this because he was a prejudiced piece of shit and he actually worked for the state as a register. He was a grimy dude. He was a grimy dude. He was a grimy dude. Now I want y'all to know that the Plecker family actually is I forget the other name that they married into, but they own a lot of these DNA companies, sampling kit companies, like where they store the DNA. Because 23andMe and African Ancestry, they don't actually store it. They pay a third party company to store your DNA and files and shit like that. And the Plecker family is involved in a lot of that. I'm just gonna let y'all know. Now look, this is crucial. Look, in 1912, Virginia lawmakers established the Bureau of Vital Statistics and designated Plucker to serve as its head. The Bureau ensured that from 1912 onward, all babies born in Virginia received birth certificates. Y'all know what a birth certificate is? So he not only did he try to remove you, he legally killed you on record. That goes back to the 1666 Sexecute Act. Do y'all know what the 1666 Sexecute Act is, family? I need y'all to let me know in the chat. If y'all know, I won't even look it up. Do y'all know what the 1666 Sexecute Act is? Because this is why Walter Plecker gave you a birth certificate, because of that very reason. He gave you a birth certificate for that very reason. That's because of the 1666 Sexecute Act. So let me show y'all what the 1666 Execute Act and how that plays into you having a birth certificate and how you're dead according to law. Let's get into it. So the 1666 Execute Act is a legal act, right, that was enacted by UK Parliament to address issues arising from the absence and death of individuals whose lives were tied to estates. This is why you got a social security card that they claim that they're making money off of. We're going to get into this. This is deep. It was introduced during the time of crisis, specifically after the Great Plague and the Great Fire of London. So to provide clarity on the status of individuals who were missing or presumed dead, allowing their estates to be managed appropriately. So they ordained them and gave them the birth certificate. This act aimed to resolve inconveniences caused by the lack of proof of death for those who were gone and beyond overseas and were otherwise absent. You're absent because you're not on record who you are. You're a person. So when you're born through a birth canal, you're dealing with citizenship. Now you're a part of the seas. You're missing and dead at sea. So they're breaking this down. We're talking about admiralty law. You need a JAG lawyer to break some of this shit down, family. All right. So now what I'm saying is the birth certificate, which is the 1666 Execute Act, made you legally dead according to Walter Plecker, family. We're talking about civilly, what do you call it? Civil literally mortuus. Civil literal mortuus. Hey, where my brother Jeremiah Royster at? Come help me say the name. I mean Jeremiah Myers. Help me say the name, Jeremiah. Where you at? I need my brother Jeremiah to come help me say the name. Silver Little just ordered some motif. Hey, but listen, the birth certificate only knows that know what I'm talking about. That's funny. But it literally made you dead according to law, family. He pushed for you guys to be done like that. Look, he ordered all babies born in Virginia to receive birth certificates, and that the certificates included racial destination, usually supplied by the midwives who delivered the babies, making it a legal document because your mother murders you on record while she's under threat and control and other drugs after having a baby. Plecker goes as a register was initially liable. He kept midwives under close provision to make sure they procedures were sanctuary. When Virginia passed the Racial Integrity Act in 1924, however, the focus of its scrutiny changed by the hygiene to racial classification. Now look, Charles Darwin, Curry Buck, Francis Galton, and Walter Plecker had one thing in common. They didn't like niggas and they wanted them to go to Africa. But listen, man, that's it for today. I am going to drop the link in the chat for anybody that want to come on. But that's it for today, man. We rocking out. Shout out to the Wild Indians that's in here rocking out. Shout out to my Wild Indians. We got more Aboriginal information I'm going to be dropping for y'all. If y'all like it, I'm going to drop it. If y'all rocking with these series of information, I'm going to rock with it. I'm going to rock with it with y'all. I'm going to rock with it with y'all. But I'm going to play a little music. I'm about to roll me up another wood, and y'all can hit the panel as y'all want or shoot any questions, call the call-in number, however y'all want. Shout out to all my FBAs, my American Indians, my American Aborigines. Shout out to my niggas. Shout out to my wild ones. Let's go.
Yep. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey, V, line them up. I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying double some. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child's play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up mad stuff like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the shit. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfuck the thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. Now these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth as an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post date it. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Yo ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, I don't tape shit.
Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the sheep.